Greetings, various people across the grand and mighty spectrums of time and the multiverse. I am Gordon Johannes. Now, I don't give a fuck anymore. We have crossed the threshold of fucksgiving. Fucksgiving has been and it has gone because Trump's president. I mean, it might not technically actually be by the time this is up, but he's president. And hard Brexit is happening. And that means that the economy in Britain and America is about to tank tremendously. Like, I have optimism and faith that technological improvements will save us in time, and that the left will rise up, but we're fucked. We're fucked. And it's kind of like how at a certain point an object that's about to hit the earth will be so close that you won't be able to see it anymore because it'll just be everywhere, right? You can't see it anymore because it's just so huge and overwhelming, and you just know you're fucked and dead. And there's nothing you can do about it except try to survive. And so, to that end, this is kind of, I suppose, yeah, this is me moving the deck chairs on the Titanic as the iceberg is causing us to sink, because we're dead, and I can't focus on that abomination that is going to crush us all. So I'm going to focus on what I can do. And so the first thing I'd like to point out is that there are those on the left who are legitimately, like, spoiling for a fight against Trump and the alt-right. And to these people who are complaining that SNL sketches and the arts and the media, they do nothing, right? I want to point out some things to you guys, okay? America has a military that is capable of fighting 2 Gulf War-sized wars at a time. They have a largely militarized police force that has been known to kill people on suspicion of stealing chocolate bars. They have so many different survivalists and anti-left people and right-wing and far-right lunatics who have got tons of guns and for various different reasons have basically been waiting for the day to use them. America has the CIA, the FBI, the NSA. And America has a whole ton of nukes, a whole ton of drone bombers, and the biggest kind of economy in the West, or among the biggest, and it's got the most powerful companies. And even if you can somehow take on all of that, Marine Le Pen is looking like she's going to be elected as the new sort of leader of France. Marine Le Pen is far right. And in Britain, our Conservative leadership is pandering to the far right as well. At this point, trying to fight a war isn't going to work. Because this isn't an invasion. This is victory. They've won. Right? And pretty much the best thing we can do is try to keep things peaceful in the hopes that we can then vote these fuckers out. And if we can't do that, then things are going to be very, very bad indeed. Because, yeah, maybe at a certain point enough people might be dead, and Trump might actually be so stupid as to start invading other countries, and at that point the left might genuinely have to fight back. But it's not a good idea to. It is a battle, it is a war, that whilst the left may eventually win it, a lot of people will die before then. You don't want to pick a fight with America. Because we don't have the soldiers, we don't have the skills, we don't have the weapons. It's stupid. And I know people are desperate, because, you know, if you're a black person in America, well, yeah, you can look forward to a police force that will shoot you dead on suspicion of stealing a chocolate bar. And, you know, there are, I mean, Mexicans and Muslims have been threatened with all kinds of horrible stuff, and trans people aren't even allowed to use the bathrooms anymore. It's tough. It's very fucking tough. But America is not a country that you go to war with. They won the last 2 world wars, and they won the Cold War as well. They are the only country to have fired a nuclear bomb in anger against a different country in a time of war. They are the only country to do that. Not the kind of people you want to pick a fight with. So that's out of the way. Next thing I want to sort of talk about, and the main thing I want to sort of talk about in this video, now that the Trumpists have gotten their quotes and they're fucking off to, I don't know, bathe in piss as a celebration for getting their daily allotment of milk from their lol cow. As I said, I've crossed the realm of giving a fuck, because at this point, so yeah, I have crossed the stage of giving a fuck, and as part of that, because I'm basically fucked already, and it doesn't really matter. Well, I never really stopped writing my fiction anyway, but I've stopped caring that people are critical of the fiction that I write, and because apart from anything else, I have noticed that, you know how I've mentioned before that, like, when I was really depressed, sort of 2 years ago, I used Facebook a lot to look at politics, to distract myself, And then sort of as I was coming out of depression, I found that sort of Facebook was pulling me back to that mindset. Because it's like, look at all the horrible things. And it's like, okay, I now need to retrain Facebook's algorithms because I'm coming out of this depression. I don't want to be pulled back into it. And I feel like that's kind of my issue when it comes to being online, is that I fundamentally hate myself. You know, I've been bullied my entire life. So, kind of, I have internalized that sense of negativity and hatred towards myself. And as a result of that, I am constantly worried that, you know, people are gonna see through my veneer and my act and my morals, and they're gonna realize that, oh my god, I'm a monster. You know, it's the idea of the imposter syndrome, and that everybody who is in some way creative worries that, oh my god, they're gonna find me out. Except, you know, because I have always had such negativity towards me, to the extent that, you know, even in university I had one lovely, charming fellow essentially try to lecture me on how much of a cunt he thought I was. And this, by the way, is the kind of guy who genuinely is a horrible, monstrous shit. So that's the kind of stuff that's sort of in my head. So when I go looking for anything like, you know, feminism or whatever, I sort of automatically, instantly believe, oh, the people who are telling me I'm full of shit, they must be true, right? And that's also why I kind of, that's also, I suppose, to a different extent why I'm so immune to the trolls, is because, like, I expect the trolls to hate me. I'm used to the trolls hating me. I'm used to bullies hating me. I'm used to bloody bastard shitheads hating me. And this is why the whole, hey, we're gonna be nice to you because we're gonna get close to you and we're gonna find out about you so we can get to you and hurt you. That's why that doesn't work. Because I'm just like, no, you're cunts. That's what you do. You're horrible pieces of shit who tried to hurt me. That's how this works. That's the way I know the world to work. You don't get to play your games because I just know you hate me. Which is all fine and dandy when you're talking about, you know, trolls who are xenophobic megalomaniacs. Not so fine and dandy when you're talking about people whose fundamental ideology is that maybe people shouldn't be shat upon needlessly. And I'm not talking about kink shamers. Although I suppose then it wouldn't be shat upon needlessly, because then there is a clear consensual need. But no. I assume the worst about me is what people think. And if it's people I like and care about, this makes me upset. And I think this is why, for such a long time, I have basically assumed the very worst about myself. When it comes to how feminists see me. And to the fiction I write. But it has sort of been pointed out to me that actually, no, there are women who like this stuff as well, right? And for feminists to shame me for, you're writing stuff like this, oh my god, how dare you! That is basically sort of they might as well be, you know, shaming women for liking that kind of stuff. I mean, for God's sake, Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey were written by women. And they were both written as blatant kind of, you know, fanficky kind of stuff. And admittedly, there is like a whole school of academia and psychology that is like, yes, but why do women like to be the submissives in society? Why do they feel like they must be with the monsters in society? Why is this what they fetishize about? Is it maybe because men are cunts? And like, I'm not smart enough to get into that. But like, I've known for a while I'm not as progressive as everybody else, and that kind of, I struggle to make sense of, you know, of conventional society half the time, let alone a whole new bunch of rules that are just sort of being created and sort of being come to a sort of communal conclusion and agreement about, right? And I can't do it. I'm just, when it comes to social awareness, I'm a bit shit at that. And I just kind of got to keep my mouth shut and say, okay, I'm going to wait until there is a consensus. And once the consensus is in society, then I'm going to be able to move forward and learn and understand and properly, you know, properly treat people in the ways that they would like me to. Unless they're bastards. What I'm sort of learning is that, yeah, some of these people who are being hypercritical and that I am listening to because I assume people hate me and I assume I'm a monster, and that therefore people I think are good people must be true if they're being shits to me. The actually shaming people for their kinks and their fetishes, so long as they're doing nobody any harm, isn't a problem. Like shaming people for kinks that don't do anybody any harm is wrong, because they don't do people any harm, because they're fetishes, right? People, part of the reason people like them is for the taboo, right? And to a certain extent, right, yeah, fetishes might be misogynistic in nature because that's kind of part of the fetish being played upon. But so long as it's safe, sane, and consensual, or that the fetish being presented is made clear that this is fiction, do not do in reality, sort of thing. Or at least don't do in reality unless it is a scene being acted out under safe, sane, and consensual circumstances. So long as the fiction is ring-fenced and that it's treated with kind of respect, and that it's not just blithely regarded as, oh, well, this is how we should all behave then there shouldn't be an issue with people enjoying fiction that helps them find happiness or whatever, right? I mean, how many stories over the years have featured, you know, murders and genocides and it's like, that's not presented as a good thing. We aren't saying that people should go out there and kill people. I mean, there is this whole kind of superhero fandom, superhero, you know, boom at the moment, and there has been for some time. And everybody understands that we're not seriously suggesting that you should don a cowl and go out and beat up criminals, right? No, we understand that this is escapism, right? And that you shouldn't actually go out and commit crimes. So I don't feel like I need to hate myself for writing fiction like this. I mean, yes, I should be aware of what I'm writing and why I'm writing it, and I should keep the sort of less savoury parts of myself in check to make sure that, you know, the sort of fetishes remain fetishes firmly within the land of fantasy, or, you know, scenes to be acted out under safe, sane and consensual circumstances. And so therefore I'm sort of zeroing in on the sort of the point of this video, which is that these people then who are critical of fiction to the point of essentially harassing the people who write the fiction because, well, I don't like it and I think it's bad in this way and that way, those people aren't actually the good guys. Right? Yes, criticize fiction. You know, I am a reviewer. I love reviews. Right? By all means, you know, do all the textual analyses of fiction that you want to, right? Do essay after essay on why pieces of fiction suck. You know, do studies on, you know, the relationship between representation and, you know, and the effects in the real world. You know, do studies on how sort of fetish fiction maybe leads to on how maybe that ties into how people are treated in society. Like, do the studies, do the research, do academic papers, do criticisms, do pulp punditry. And, you know, we're all people, we're all human. So, yeah, if you want to hate someone because they wrote a piece of fiction that you don't like, that's fine. If you want to be angry and rage at someone because they wrote a piece of fiction that you don't like, that's fine. That's normal. That's human. That's what we do. And here we're getting to kind of point or something. Which is that there is increasingly this mood among the left that people deserve suffering. That if they have done X number of wrong things, they deserve suffering. I've seen good people say that. I'm not talking about, well, there was a post-bet, somebody who is critical of SJWs and they said that they say this. No, I've seen good people, good fans say that other people deserve to not have a happy life because they have said things that yeah, I think are bullshit, that I think are bad and stuff. And the thing is that, like, I don't like revenge. And the reason I don't like revenge is that I know how very sweet it is. I don't like revenge because I want it. Because I want it bad. And because that side of myself scares me. Revenge is an emotion and a desire that I understand very fucking well, and I know the danger of it. Do you not think that having gotten bullied as horribly as I was, that I have ever wanted revenge against these people? Do you not think that having listened to this utter prick lecture me on how much of a cunt he thought I was, that I wanted revenge on him? That do you not think that I want revenge on Neil, right? Of course I do. It's human. It's normal. We want revenge because revenge comes from the animal instincts that are like, hey, that fucking saber-toothed tiger savaged you. You need to go and kill it before it tracks you down and kills your family. But that's not how we do things in society. I am about rehabilitation, not revenge, because rehabilitation prevents bad things happening, right? Not just in terms of, you know, preventing you doing harm to other people, but in the sense that if you are in favor of revenge, then you are giving that person all the more fucking reason to continue to be horrible. Rehabilitation is about taking someone dangerous and making them safe. Revenge is about satisfying bloodlust and pain by committing harmful acts against another, by wanting harmful acts committed against another. Revenge is not healthy. Revenge is not good. Revenge is not a nice thing. Revenge is not a thing anybody should be encouraging, and yet so often I see among the left desire for revenge. So often I see among the left an attitude that revenge is just. That if these people suffer, they will stop. No. Suffering is on occasion an unfortunate necessity to stop people from trying to kill you. Suffering should never, ever, under any fucking definition of good, be the aim. And I don't give a shit whether I am mansplaining right now. Whether there are feminists out there watching this video who are screaming at me that I'm a misogynist for daring to explain basic fucking morality to them, because I'm not talking to them. If you think I'm mansplaining to you, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who need to understand that revenge does not help, that wanting people to suffer does not help. That suffering is never a desirable fucking cause. It might be an unfortunate side effect of preventing the people with all the fucking guns from continuing to kill you. But it should never, ever be the goal and the aim. Revenge is not good. Nobody ever deserves to suffer. Some people are a danger to society, and they need to stop being a danger to society. But I am against the death penalty because guess what? If you can bring them to trial, then you can contain them in such a way as they don't need to be executed. And if you can contain them, maybe you can rehabilitate them. But either way, you don't need to cause suffering. And we don't want people to cause suffering. We don't want anybody to think that there is any group of individuals on this planet, or indeed, fuck it, the universe and the multiverse, that deserves to suffer. Because that impulse, that it is right that others suffer, that is what is wrong with humanity. That is why we continue to do horrible things to each other, because we think that other people deserve to suffer. Why are the poor starving in the streets? Why are they homeless? Because the rich think they deserve to suffer. Why are trans people being persecuted? Because transphobics think they deserve to suffer. Why are black people being shot dead by policemen? Because people think they deserve to suffer and to die. Why has Donald Trump been elected? Because people think the foreigners deserve to suffer. The right are a bunch of shits. The right are a bunch of monstrous bastards. These are people who are neurotic and who are deliberately offensive because it's their idea of a good time. You don't need to insult them because they are the biggest insult that anybody could fucking give to anyone. They are horrible. We know this. The left should be better. The left should not be saying that anybody deserves to suffer, because if you think that someone deserves to suffer, guess what? You are a problematic individual. And the reason I say that is that you can walk the walk, you can act all you fucking like, that you are doing all the things that you need to say and do to say, look at me, I'm a good person, I'm doing all the things I should be. But if you are hating on people, if you are saying that they should suffer, if you honestly believe that people deserve unhappiness, then you are perpetuating an idea of cruelty that needs to be wiped out. Cruelty doesn't help people. Cruelty does not help society. Cruelty is not something the human race needs. Cruelty is not something the left needs. Cruelty is something that we need to get rid of. The left needs to stop being cruel. The right needs to stop being cruel as well, but the right also needs to, be fucking human beings. which, considering that their choice for president, they're clearly having a struggle with the definition of human being. Nobody deserves to suffer. As much as we may dearly fucking want them to, nobody deserves it. And I opened this talking about Trump, talking about the alt-right, talking about Nazis, talking about people who would commit genocide, who would oppress, saying that, hey, think before you pick a fight with them because they're gonna kick your ass. And now I'm gonna sort of move to the point of this video, right after I blow my nose. John Locke. The John Locke conspiracy. Since I know the majority of my followers are not in fact au fait with Tumblr, or indeed with fandom shipping names, or indeed what shipping is, I suppose I better start explaining terminology. So, people who like fictional media are called fans, okay? And sometimes these fans like the idea of seeing particular characters in a romantic or sexual relationship together. And this sort of habit of wanting to see two fictional characters together is called shipping. And there are names for these relationships that are being championed by the fans, and these are ship names. And there is one particular ship name for one particular pairing of fictional characters, and that ship name is John Locke. It refers to the pairing of John and Sherlock in the Sherlock TV series written by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss. The John Locke conspiracy, as it was known, is the idea that there is a conspiracy that John and Sherlock are actually gay for each other. Well, bisexual for each other. And that there are clues hidden throughout the series of Sherlock that point this out. I would like it known that basically the entire reason anybody thinks that Stephen Moffat is at all capable of doing something this complex and deep and geniusly written is because of one scene in Doctor Who that happened to look like a continuity error at the time, but was then actually timey-wiminess. One scene from one episode in one series of Doctor Who, and that is where all of this fan speculation that Stephen Moffat is a genius who has carefully plotted, written, that everything is... No, he isn't. He doesn't. That's not what he do. Stephen Moffat is not a genius writer. Stephen Moffat is a great writer on occasion. He can write characters and plots that are really engaging, but he doesn't plot them out like some people wish he would, like some people think he does, like some people get incredibly annoyed when he doesn't. And now is when I must introduce a term that even potentially just bringing this up may bring upon a pox upon my house. But I'm not endorsing it, I'm not criticizing it. I have to explain terminology to explain kind of a key element of the rage that is going on here within this community that I am going to criticize. And that term is queer baiting. Queer baiting is the idea that writers of fictional media will make characters that seem like they're going to be a gay couple so that the LGBTQA plus community will watch, and then they will do bait and switch at the end and say, they were heterosexual all along, they're never getting together. And so it's called queer baiting, and it's seen in some circles as a form of essentially abuse of the fandom. I am not clever enough to argue whether queer baiting is or is not a fair case to make in the grounds of Sherlock. I am not clever enough to argue whether queer baiting even is or is not a thing. I just know that it's one of those terms that people use when they are very, very angry, and that if you are critical of it, they assume you are a monster who does horrible, horrible things to people. The reason it is relevant is that there are a bunch of people who see who ship John and Sherlock in Sherlock as a couple, and they have been thinking that Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat have been carefully plotting a romantic subplot between these two characters in such a way that the heterosexual, heteronormative audience wouldn't see it. That they have been carefully plotting this, and that at some point they would reach a denouement and the characters would admit their big gay love for each other. That's the conspiracy. And with the final problem, which, as has been indicated in the title, is probably the last episode of Sherlock for a fucking long time, because, let's face it, Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch are both in the Marvel films now. Plus Benedict Cumberbatch is very busy, and so is Martin Freeman in all kinds of other films. It is the final problem. And in the final problem, Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss do not confirm or deny any particular ship pairing. And there is one thing as well that I am critical of the John Locke community for, and that is that in Series 3, they had John Watson get married to this woman called Mary, and Mary was played by Martin Freeman's actual wife, at least at the time that they were recorded and at the time that I'm recording this, right? Sorry I have to add those provisos in, but look at what's happened, right? Shit happens! So, like, these were two characters who had a lot of chemistry together because of that. And, like, this was a thing that happened in the books, that John Watson was married, and they decided to basically make Mary a main character because, holy shit, it's a series basically just about two guys. Isn't that a bit fucking sexist? So they bring on another woman into the cast, someone they know who can act well, who's got great chemistry with Martin Freeman. And here's where the John Locke conspiracy gets fucking weird, right? For the first two series, you can kind of believe that, okay, maybe Sherlock and John do have some sort of feelings they can't quite resolve, and then Sherlock seemingly dies at the end of the Reichenbach Fall. And so a lot of people, a lot of fanfic writers built up a lot of stories in their heads about what was going to happen, and then they bring along Mary, and basically John has a wife now, and he's getting a child, and how did the fan community react to the fact that their favourite couple was split up by the fact that John Watson had a wife now? They decided that she was an evil villain. I mean, okay, they did have Mary shoot Sherlock. But that was because John Watson's whole sort of shtick is he likes the danger, he could never just be with someone ordinary. So they essentially, like, the revelation wasn't, oh my god, she's evil, it was, oh my god, she actually is perfect for him. And then, in Series 4, they kill her off when they've got a family, and essentially the John Locke community is bitter as almighty fuck because this character that they had decided was a villain, despite being introduced as Sherlock's, despite being introduced as John's, wife, and the mother of his child, that her actually being seen as still a nice character in the end of Sherlock, that's a betrayal. That she should have been the villain. And that's fine. That's fine. Like, have your opinions on stuff, right? If you want to look that deep into stuff, right, go ahead. But the thing is, Series 4 points out that all of those carefully woven conspiracy theories make no fucking sense. And how does the fan community react? Do they say, oh, well, it looks like my conspiracy theory was a load of horseshit? Or do they say, yeah, it looks like my conspiracy theory was a load of horseshit, but I'm still gonna believe it anyway because fuck it, it's fiction. I'm gonna go with what I like. No, a significant, if not necessarily large, portion of the fan community of John Locke shippers decided that they were actually angry and wrathful at Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss because how dare they write something so homophobic because it presents fictional characters being mean to other fictional characters, and damn it, they hurt the feels of the audience. Kind of reminds me, like, about the idea of friend zoning. But like that, I mean, this is something I've been caught up on because I do not generally look up words in the dictionary. I judge them from context, and like friend zoning is, I thought, relatively analogous to unrequited love, and yeah, unrequited love hurts. You know, it just does fucking hurt. There is no doubt about that, and men and women and all genders experience unrequited love, and it sucks. But friend zoning is taking unrequited love and turning it into, well, you hate me then and you're using me because I love you, but you won't love me back, and fuck you. And I feel like this hatred and wrath towards Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat, there are people who are basically harassing Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss on new media and social media, and I feel like them doing so because they didn't like how their series ended, because they didn't like the ending that their fictional characters got. I feel like that is the sort of fandom equivalent of feeling friend-zoned, right? It's one thing to pine after a ship that wasn't made canon. It is one thing to be annoyed that your favourite theory did not turn out to be correct. I mean, I was so angry at the River Song revelation when that happened, because I had spent a good deal of time on the Doctor Who live journal sort of telling people, oh, don't be ridiculous, it's not going to be real, what are you talking about, no, it makes no sense, what are you talking about? And then it happened, and I was like, why did he do a Star Wars? Because it is like literally just River Song turns up and it's like, yes, I'm your daughter! No, Amy, I am your daughter. Dun 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 dun! So yeah, I can get being annoyed at someone, and like I'm still annoyed about the fucking Ice Warriors and about like about the way the 13 Lives thing was dealt with. Like, I wanted a series or 2 series where the Doctor is effectively mortal, where he is genuinely like, I could die at any moment, and he is worried and concerned, and he's like, maybe I should. He gets desperate. Like his companions are like, try and survive through this way or that way, and instead, what we got is the Doctor settling down in a town called Christmas, where lying is forbidden, and he just goes around sort of merrily being happy until one day things get too bad and his companion turns up and says, yo, he's the Doctor, stupid. So I get being annoyed and irritated at people. I get being annoyed and irritated at Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss for not letting your fantasies and theories of what should happen. Right? I get being annoyed at that, right? Like, unrequited love sucks, dude. But just because you hurt because you feel like you've been denied love from this thing does not mean that you get to be actually angry at this other party because they didn't return feelings that were just your own. They do not deserve to suffer because your ship, because the characters that you like didn't get together. I've just realised I am so totally screwed. I talked about Trump supporters and John Locke supporters in the same video. I'm dead. I am one dead man. I mean, it's not bad enough that I've searched for the term far schnook on a private tab, and literally, like, one of the first results is, or on the, it is a page on Tumblr with people saying, "Oh my god, you wish that Sherlock could be queerbait just because you hate a fandom. How dare you?" Maybe queerbaiting is a legitimate term. Maybe it is a legitimate charge to bring to bear against these people. But they still don't deserve to suffer. They still don't deserve to be harassed. We're better than that. We should be better than that. And the thing is that generally, I love fandom. Fandom is what lifts me up and helps me when I'm down. It's a great thing. You know, so many of my friends I've gotten through fandom. And I genuinely love what fans can do. You know, fanfics, fan mixes, fanvids. You know, fan costumes. I love all that stuff. But some people take it too far. Some people take it too far and make it into harassment. And I don't think that we should ever believe that people deserve to suffer. I don't think that is what the human race should be about. I don't think that is what people should be about. Sometimes suffering is an unfortunate necessity because sometimes there literally aren't the resources to go around. Sometimes tough calls have to be made and people suffer as a result. Sometimes people who do bad things need to be stopped. But that doesn't mean that their suffering is ever a good thing. That doesn't mean that their suffering is ever something that should be wished for or wanted, or that anybody should be made to suffer for the sake of suffering. Nor again does that mean that anybody should be shamed for suffering if that's what they want to do under safe, sane, consensual circumstances. If you're a masochist and you like pain, have it. But nobody should want people to suffer. Anyway, I'm gonna end this off here. Goodbye. Thank you to all my Patreons at patreon.com for helping to make videos like this possible. If you wish to leave a like or dislike to rate the video for my analytics, that would be much appreciated. Comments are always welcome, though be aware that they will be moderated before being published, so please be civil. If you liked this video, please consider adding it to your favourites, sharing it to your friends, or subscribing. If you wish to help me out, or my channels, please consider whitelisting my videos in your adblock software, subscribing for monthly donations through Patreon, or giving a small one-off donation. Alternatively, I have a Steam wishlist for games I would consider let's playing or streaming, so if you would like to see me broken before the Dark Souls altar, or just happen to have gotten a duplicate of a game in a humble bundle, then you know what to do. I also have an official Facebook fan page, Twitter account, Tumblr, Reddit and blog, so you can stay up to date with all of my videos, blog articles and the things I care about. Links are in the video description. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I think that all that now needs to be said is ban all guns, institute universal basic income now, and ensure government is elected by proportional representation. Oh, and also, fuck the racists and fuck the alt-right.